Mark Schlereth is spending time at his childhood home in Alaska. I bet you it is just magnificent and beautiful. He was a big high school stud. Then he went to Idaho, and now he's a big Fox Sports guy. And look at that, boy. For anybody that's never been to Alaska, now is a real good time to go. It gets a little dark a little early in the winter, Mark, but it was the summers are unbelievable,
Yes.
are they not?
It's the most unbelievably unique place on the planet where, you can walk out of your front door at 11 o'clock in the evening and still have beautiful, just bright sunshine. And it is gorgeous. The kids are up here fishing, and we're spending a little time with my father, who just turned 84. This is the house I grew up in. You can see the reflection. The sun's out. It's reflecting off the window behind me. I was trying to do this outside, Colin, but your technical people got all goofy about, it's going to pixelate, so anyhow.
All right, let's start with this. You very popular morning show, Mark hosts in Denver. I thought for all that Russell Wilson is washed, I thought he looked thin, elusive, quick, and I thought Sean Payton saw it and said, boom, that's enough, get off the field. I thought it was one of those moments in that drive. I thought, okay, I've seen enough. We're going to be fine. I really felt it was a moment of, we're going to be fine here. Russell's going to be fine. Because I think a lot of people, Mark, thought last year he can't run anymore. And I watched them and I thought, oh, no, he's still quick. He's outrunning linebackers. That was my takeaway on what I saw. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that whole take last year was ridiculous, that he had been washed and athletically he wasn't the same. We all tend to, as time goes on, lose a little bit of athleticism, but Russell Wilson is still plenty athletic. He lost that weight like you talked about. He's dropped about 15 pounds. Looks incredibly quick, really fit. And ultimately Sean is, working through trying to figure out, hey, what does he do well? And you've seen some things over the course of preseason. The deep drops off of 7-man protections where you're 11 and a half yards deep and you're throwing a lock route. And you're just driving the football. Arm talent-wise, he's great. He's great on the run, great movement-wise, throwing the deep ball. There's some timing things and some routes that, he still is working through, and they're going to figure out exactly what he does well, what he's not great at. And I think all those things are coming together for Sean Payton in this offense. And I think Russell Wilson, I really do. I think he'll have a huge bounce-back year for the Denver Broncos.
So we were saying this about Jordan Love. In 18 dropbacks in the preseason, he has faced 0 pressures. And between Matt LaFleur, offensive young smart coach, and his protection, Mark, it may not be Mahomes, but it's really set up. I said earlier, Mitch Trubisky made the playoffs in this division when he had an offensive coach, and that 1 year for Chicago, they had a pretty good line. Right. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I'm watching their games. Green Bay just does O-lines right. They've been doing O-lines right since Favre. I don't know. What do you make of Jordan Love after 2 preseason games?
Listen, I'll go back to last year, and I went back and studied him when he got an opportunity a couple of years ago to play, and it was against the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, and he just looked bad. And I go back to a conversation I had with Aaron Rodgers about practice squad stuff, or not practice squad, but the look squad, the getting the defense prepared. Where Rodgers had a talk with Jordan, basically saying, "Hey man, that's where I learned the off-balance throws, the off-platform throws. That's where I developed as a quarterback, and I took it upon myself to go out there and torch our defense, our starting defense, when Favre was the quarterback. And eventually the coaches see it and say, hey, wait a minute, why is this guy not playing? And so it was one of those things. Jordan Love did a great job last year. And you go back and look at the games he got to play in last year when Aaron Rodgers was out. And Jordan Love was exceptional in those games. So, a lot of it is just growing up, maturing, learning the offense. And like you talked about, LaFleur does a great job schematically with the system, keeping you off, keeping you on schedule and making sure you're not in third down and long situations where you can be, you can be really good. You can keep that whole offense open. We've got a nickel run package that the defense has to look at. When you're in third down and 7+ all the time, and the defense just disregards it. We'll play the run on the way to the quarterback, but we don't really care. When you are in phase, or you are on schedule, and you were third down and 4 or less yards to go, now the whole playbook is open to us as an offense. And that's going to take a lot of pressure off of a guy like Jordan Love. And that's one of the things the Packers do really well.
All right, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, they don't have the protection that Jordan Love has. So you've watched their throws. You've played with young rookie quarterbacks. What are you looking for? What do you see with those guys? Those are. By the way, Bryce is going to be NFC games. You'll probably get one of those games. What are you kind of looking for young quarterbacks?
Well, I think in today's game, obviously, with all the RPO stuff and all the zone read running game, it really adds a layer of productivity to the quarterback, but also adds a layer that the defense has to defend. And so it creates a lot of singular throws. And what I mean by singular throws is it creates a one read option for the quarterback. So now what you're reading is you're faking that handoff to the running back, right? You're reading that mid-level defender, that linebacker or that safety that's down in the box. And if he bites, now we've got a slant, we've got a slant behind that linebacker or behind that safety. And that's the only guy we're reading. So if he bites, we throw it. If he doesn't bite, if he gets off and takes pressure or gets depth and takes that slant throw away, they call it a glance route, then all of a sudden you just hand the ball off. So it's not necessarily going 1 to 2 to 3 in progression, but it's reading one guy. Does that linebacker suck up? Now I throw it. Does that linebacker give ground? Now I hand it off. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes into that RPO game that really takes some pressure off that quarterback of reading multiple layers or multiple levels.
Yeah.
And then you add athleticism to get outside. It really becomes a lot easier to transition in today's NFL for young quarterbacks than it was like in my day, for instance, when none of that stuff existed. So, and one of the things I saw with C.J. Stroud is he just did a lot better job of being on time and being balanced throwing the football from week 1 of the preseason to week 2 of the preseason.
So, J-Mac has said, sell the farm on the Giants. And I've said, okay, they've got a star weapon and Darren Waller. They've got a great left tackle, good defensive front, excellent offensive coach. Daniel Jones doesn't lose games. He threw 5 picks. And so I do think in the NFC where you'll be doing your games, if you don't lose games, you've been on offenses. They didn't all have Elway. If you have an offensive coach, a great left tackle, 1-star weapon, maybe 2, great defensive front, I don't think the Giants making the playoffs was a fluke. I just think they kind of have one way to win. And they did a lot. What do you make of the Giants? You'll do a game this year. Daniel Jones, you saw him the other night, look crisp. What do you make of him?
I think, one, you mentioned the coaching. I think the coaching, not only with their head coach, but Mike Kafka, they've done a really good job of understanding what Daniel Jones is, understanding his strengths, leaning into those strengths, mitigating some of the weaknesses that we had seen in the past. And as you get more and more comfortable with those things and that athleticism and that boot keep game and some of those things that they do well, and that run game that they lean on tremendously and the play action that comes off of that, now we start adding to the menu. It's like that restaurant that you open up, Colin, that only has it has 4 things they make, and that's it. And as you get really good and people become familiar with that stuff, now what do? We add a second page to it, right? And now we've got, we've got 5 more appetizers and 3 more entrees and all that kind of stuff. And that's what you're going to see with the Giants. Plus, I think, I look at Waller, I look at Bellinger, who they drafted tight end, I think last year, who's a really good young player. Now, all of a sudden, you have personnel packages. They went and got Campbell from Indianapolis. Hodgins really shined. The kid they took from Buffalo a year ago really became a kind of a focal point to that offense, really became a real good offensive player. Like, I just look at them right now with that running game, some of the weapons they developed, and now with all the different personnel packages they have that they didn't have a year ago, I kind of see the evolution of the next step to this offense. I think the Giants are one of those sneaky teams that everybody just feels like they snuck up on people and they're going to fall off the map. and I see a team that's much improved. Their left tackle has become a stud. I think the right tackle
Neal.
Neal is actually going to become a really good player. I was impressed with him last year as a young player. So I just think that they're moving in the right direction. And what's their GM's name? Joe Shane.
Yep.
I think they've done a really good job of understanding what they are and kind of building blocks. You know, they put a foundation together in regards to that offense, and now they're building blocks around that thing. They're starting to build, to me, a really solid, repeatable offense for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I like that. See, you and I agree on that. Mark Schlereth in beautiful. What part of Alaska, by the way?
I'm South Anchorage, up on the hillside in the mountains right here, right off Hoffman Road. I tell you what, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking to wrestle a bear later. I've had a couple bear chase me through that backyard behind me right there as a young kid. You know, they always tell you, and it's absolute garbage. They always tell you, you make yourself real big and scary, you know, and throw in a bear. You know, when you see a bear coming at you, you run. That's what you like. It's your natural human instinct. And I don't think the bear was trying to eat me. I just think he wanted to play. You know, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But you don't turn around and go, "Come on, put your dukes up, Mr. Bear." No, you just as fast as you can.
That's what I would do. Mark Schlereth, that's why I made Pro Bowls right there. He had a sweet block of bear in his backyard in Alaska. That's how he got so good. Mark, great seeing you.
Exactly. Likewise, Colin. Take care. I'll take some pictures for you and send them along.
I know you will. I want to see them. We were talking during the break. Thanks, Mark.
Right.
That is, my dad took me there a couple times up to Alaska. King crab fishing. Beautiful up there. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.